Good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome. We're a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 245, and this is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. But before we get on with the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome. Visit us on Twitter at PS This Is Awesome. If you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PSN, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at JakeSaw01. As always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends. And make sure you leave comments and rate our podcast as you see fit. And as a reminder, this is a video podcast, so you can watch us do the show over on our YouTube channel. So for new and or long-time listeners, we now have a Patreon where you can support our show at $1 a month, called the one and only $1 Club. You can head over to www.patreon.com/PSThisIsAwesome, and you can become a $1 patron of our show and get a free die-cut vinyl sticker mailed out to you and also a shout-out. With that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing?
Doing all right. Just,
Got the yawns.
yeah, I was up late last night. I got home. I shouldn't have been, but I got home and after we played that show, and dude, we had the fucking heat in the car, like blasting the whole way home.
Yeah,
because it was chilly. But got home, watched a hockey game, stayed up. It's everybody who's listened to the show for a while knows that I'm a big fan of motorcycle racing, and the MotoGP race this weekend was in Australia, which means that it started at 11 o'clock last night, which is 1 p.m. Sunday over there. So typically I just watch it after the fact. I don't try to, because the time differences are so crazy. But it was like the game was over and the hockey game was over, and I just had to wait like another 45 minutes. I wasn't really that tired, so I was like, fuck it, I'll stay up and watch the race live or whatever. And kind of regretting it this morning because I was awake until like 12:30, which wouldn't have been too late a while ago, but now it's fucking late for me to be up that late.
Yeah, when you hit a certain age, it's really difficult to push the sleeping boundary out. I wanted to stay up last night and watch the new Halloween Ends movie. And I got home, unloaded all my gear, and I went down and I worked a little bit. I had a big dire gargoyle printing in my 3D printer. Make sure that it was a success, and it was. And I got down here and I got a little distracted and I started messing around. I did some podcast notes and stuff, for today's show. And by the time I went upstairs, I got really, really hungry. We had some leftover pizza. I ate that, and I just laid on the couch and I passed out. And that was it. And it was probably like 9 o'clock, and I was out, just gone for the whole entire night. And like all I wanted to do was watch Halloween Ends, and I couldn't will myself to stay up any later. I don't know. Stuff definitely catches up with you. But you must have been colder than me though, because I was layered up. I think I had 2 shirts on, a hoodie, and a jacket. But and I didn't take any of it off the entire time, so I just left it all on because I don't like playing when I'm cold. But my hands were freezing. We had an outdoor concert for the listeners. We played at Allegheny College, which is a local college here. But yeah, that was a fun time actually. They were really nice, and I think I sent you their whatever group of students or student body, whatever they were doing up there, that kind of orchestrated the whole event with our band and stuff. They sent just like a clip on their YouTube channel on their story, and I sent it over to you, and I was surprised at how good it sounded, just because outdoor shows usually you're always wrestling with like echo or like having it be too loud or getting the right mix, so I was surprised how nice we had it dialed in, because I don't know, anyways, it was good. So yeah, I haven't been doing anything this week, man. I just I don't even know what I've done. I did pressure wash my house recently. That was in the middle of the week last week, I think, and just been busy with work. I don't know. I'm just patiently awaiting some new game releases. So just painting and just waiting for some new games to drop. So with that out of the way, let's talk about what we're playing, Jake, as we always do every show. I just popped a few more trophies on Darkest Dungeon, to be honest. There's some really easy ones I'm going to try to get. Now, here's the funny thing that I guess I probably could have had this game beaten a long time ago, honestly. So, and I didn't realize that this is how the game worked. Well, I did, but I didn't. So when you play this game, for anyone who's... This is a great October game to play. Freaking love it. I played it last October. I'm still playing. I just popped a trophy that was like, you spent 2 years playing this campaign or something. Like, kept it rolling. I think it's like 2 year in game, but it was like funny because it correlated with real life. But you get a town crier in your little town, your little hamlet, and they give you... There's a way to access different kind of... I don't even know how to put it, objectives, right? So you go through, you get like 5 different dungeons that you can go into. One is the Cove, one is the Grove, one is blah, 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 blah. And each one has their own set of specific enemy types, and they get harder and harder. Now, each one has a boss when you get your characters leveled up so that they're not afraid to go in and fight the boss. There are 3 versions of the boss. And each objective that the town crier gives you is like, oh, defeat the siren. Then it's like, defeat the scary siren. Then it's like, defeat the beleaguering siren. And granted, when you die, your character's gone. You have to recultivate new ones. And that's what takes time in this game. So you have to play wisely. And then, outside of the Cove and all these different places you can go into, they have a dungeon called Darkest Dungeon. And up until last week, I had never even attempted the Darkest Dungeon. Because when you go in it, it says you cannot turn back. So whatever... And it's level 6. It's the highest level. Whatever characters you go in with, you're either leaving with none or leaving with 1 if you beat it, with 1 character remaining. So I was like, I haven't played this game forever. I'm going to run my characters in the Darkest Dungeon. I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab some of my better ones, just go. I don't even care at this point. I'm disconnected from all the time it's taken to get to these places, so I'm playing less cautiously. And I send my characters in, and it was a complete squad wipe. I just got wiped in the Darkest Dungeon. And I was like, these characters, I spent so long like specking them out and making... And it was just like, boom, first try. And there's three levels of the Darkest Dungeon. You get a trophy for each one. But I'm assuming when you get through the 3rd level is when you get to the end of the game. And you don't have to kill the beleaguering siren or the blah, blah, blah war machine. But I have been trying to defeat all these bosses because when you defeat the most difficult boss, they drop a relic that's really good to equip when your character's with. And I was like, well, I'm just going to go through all these. Well, the beleaguering siren is just giving me a run for my money and you're killing my people. And then I'm just not getting to the Darkest Dungeon. So I'm going to bypass the siren, skip that trophy, and just try the Darkest Dungeon, get through it. So that's where I'm at with that game. So I popped a trophy when I got my entire squad wipe in the Darkest Dungeon. That's a trophy. Forget what it was called. And you get another trophy for sending all level, like non-spec characters into the Darkest Dungeon. And I think the trophy is like lambs to a slaughter or something like that. So it's just, I don't know. It's I love this game, and speaking of it, the second one is still in early access, Darkest Dungeon 2, and they released a new trailer for it, and man, it looks rad, because the first Darkest Dungeon, while I like the animation, which is just like, it's like kind of cartoon characters, it's like, and it just cuts to like a pose, and it shows like an explosion, like you're hitting somebody. These characters in Darkest Dungeon 2 actually have full animations for their strikes and stuff. I don't know if I like it, I don't know if I dislike it, but the Darkest Dungeon 2 looks amazing, and I cannot wait for this to release on console. It better, or at the very least on Steam, and have it be Mac supported. So anyways, there's that, and then I'm just going to probably keep playing that until Plague Tale Requiem comes out, and I think that comes out on the 18th, so it's the 16th now. I know that some people that ordered the physical copy have already received their physical copies, and they're like, forget digital, man, you can get the game 3 days early if you just order physical. But
who cares?
Yeah, I don't care at this point. Yeah, it would have been nice to have it over the weekend, if I'm being honest, but I mean, I am going to get this game for sure. Plague Tale Requiem looks better and better, and we have a new story about it we'll get to later. But Jake, what have you been playing?
So I've been still playing Deathloop. And I'm getting pretty into it. I really like this game. I think it's really good. I guess I can understand some of the gripes that people that like traditional, we'll call them traditional arcade games, might have with this. But all in all, I'm really, really enjoying it. I like how everything. I was worried because it's a loop game that I was just gonna be over it. But they kind of give you pretty quickly. I don't want to say pretty quickly. You have to complete these, like, the game does a really good job of making you feel like you're progressing every time you loop, and you get this infuse ability which lets you like keep weapons and stuff every time you loop. So it's not like you're starting from scratch every time. The only thing that stays the same really is the levels, and that's kind of okay because it allows you to like learn the enemy pattern. So like if you go through this level during the, let's say, morning, because you have to complete an objective that's specifically in the morning, you know, if you've done it before, that like these enemies are going to be here, these enemies are going to be here, these doors are unlocked, these doors are not. And it's like it's kind of a strategy, and the whole thing is kind of, it's kind of like they have the objective menus kind of laid out almost like a detective's pegboard, where like you get all this information as you listen to audio logs and pick up notes and stuff like that, and it gives you all of these clues on how to get people in the right place at the right time so that you can basically kill all the visionaries within one loop cycle. But I'm really enjoying it, so I'm going to keep going on that. And then I haven't played it yet, but I installed Yakuza Like a Dragon, and I was thinking that I installed it because I want to try it using remote play on my phone. Yeah. So because it's a turn-based game, I don't have to worry about lag or anything like that. So I kind of wanted to give that a shot, but I haven't had a chance to really dive into it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I like that. And not a bad idea. I think that you should get the Valkyria Chronicles games and do that on your remote play. Those games are so good.
Yeah, I like them. I just don't know if they're a little bit. I don't know. I want something a little bit more, a little less formal. Those games are pretty formal. I mean, they're like, I don't know.
Fair enough.
They're cool. I really enjoyed what I played of 4
great.
with the demo, but it's not really what I'm in the mood for right now.
Oh, they're so good. Oh, and speaking of which, let me just bring this up because we don't have a section on the show today to talk about this, but there's a sale going on right now, and we had a listener write in about the Metro games. And if you haven't pulled the trigger yet on those, I believe the entire saga 1, 2, and 3 are on sale for $20. You can't beat that. I mean, that's a ridiculous price for those games. High quality games. Anyways, I don't know how they're able to sell those bundles so cheap, because those games are not short and they're not lacking really in fidelity. Like, they're fantastic games. So I don't know. The Metro games, you always catch them on a good sale. So last I checked, they were still on sale. Let's move into some feedback from our listeners. And, there's not a lot of game-related stuff, but there is a couple things. One Black Talon wrote us on YouTube, and this is where having an audience of the show pays off that's willing to communicate with you. They mentioned that they saw a game called Sea Horizon, and they said that it looks similar to some of the other games that I play. So, yeah, I did look at this game. It looks like it's currently in early access from what I could tell, unless those were just the first videos that popped for it. But the gameplay, that the battling, the fighting on the ship looked a lot like Darkest Dungeon to me. And I was like, wow, is this a new style of game that we're going to see more and more of? Thank you for this. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it. I don't know what I didn't have a lot of time to dive into it here before we started the show, but I am going to keep it on my radar for sure. So one to check out if you like those style of games. And I'm only guessing that you meant Sea Horizon, the video game. I don't know if there's like a board game called that or anything, but what I found was a video game. So. And then we did get a contribution for our special Halloween episode that'll be forthcoming at the end of this month. We're going to each pick our top 5 horror games and talk about them. So thank you to Sean, who gave us his top 5, as well as a review of The Evil Within 2 for the show that we're going to read on the show. He put a lot of time into this, and he didn't have to do this, but...
we should maybe just save it for the episode.
Well, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, we'll save it for the Halloween episode. But he did it 2 different ways, and I guess this will be up to us to decide. He reviewed it as if as a standalone game, and then he reviewed it in the frame like of it being a sequel to The Evil Within 1. So he compared and contrasted on the one review, and then he just kind of broke it down as a standalone on the other one. So, and they're both. I mean, it'd be too much to do both. They're a little lengthy, but we're definitely going to read one of them because he put a lot of time into it, and I really appreciate the contribution, man. Save us a little bit of work, so thank you. So we have that to look forward to. And then lastly, we did have a user write in and ask me about 3D printing. So I was able to communicate back with them a little bit. So yeah, keep the comments coming. We love them. It doesn't have to be video game related. We're more likely to probably respond if it's video game related. But yeah, as our audience is slowly increasing and growing, we appreciate all the feedback. So you can send us an email too, like we said at the beginning of the show, pssawesome@gmail.com, or just hit us up on our Patreon if you're a member, or shoot us a YouTube comment, and we will get back. And then before we get on to the news, the PlayStation game of the month, the PS Plus game that we still need to play and talk about on our final episode for the month, is Hot Wheels Unleashed. So every month we pick a game that was on the PS Plus Essentials release for that month. We pick it, we discuss about it at the end of the month, and you guys can play along with us. So the game again is Hot Wheels Unleashed. So get your download in. And I'm actually kind of excited to play this game. I heard that it's way better than the Need for Speed game or whatever. I don't know. So I'm excited to try it. I haven't even downloaded. Oh, no, I take it back. It is downloaded. I just haven't booted it up. So maybe I'll play that until Plague Tale comes out. So I've got a few days to try out Hot Wheels. And if I really like it, who knows? But, all right. Well, anyways, we need to move forward. And we haven't done one of these in a while. And for listeners who have been with us for a while know that Jake and I like to do PlayStation quizzes, and Push Square have not had one up for a while. We get a lot of our news sources from their website, news stories from their website rather, and they post these general knowledge quizzes, and Jake and I have never 100%ed any of them. We always get really close. I think the best we've done was like maybe miss 2, but man, is this a new one? It's a new one. It's got to be. I feel like we've been asked this question before, but let's just hop right to it. So this is issue 20 on Push Square, the quiz, and you can go there and take it yourself, but we're just going to do it right now. So it is a picture of Rayman, and it says, which company developed the original Rayman on PS1? Is it Crystal
Ubisoft.
Dynamics, Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, or Psygnosis?
It's Ubisoft.
You're certain? Because I don't know this. I should know.
Yeah.
All right. Good job, Jake. All right. What kind of games are the Tukiden titles? Are they asymmetric multiplayer games? Are they action RPGs? Are they visual novels? Or are they MMORPGs? If I had to guess, it's probably a visual novel.
No, they're action RPGs.
How do you know that? I've never even heard of them.
I don't know. I don't really know that much about them, but I don't remember them being something like a visual novel.
Well, that was really big for a while on the Vita and stuff. There were tons of visual novel games. I never heard of Tekuden or whatever the heck they called it. So we're 2 for 2, all because of Jake. Now, I am the most transparent person. I'll tell you when I don't know something, and I don't know a lot about a lot of these questions. So in Final Fantasy VII Remake, who's the first party member to join Cloud? Is it Barrett, Tifa, Jesse, or Sephiroth? It's definitely not Sephiroth. I want to say it's... I know Barrett is... Well, actually, I don't know because all I played was the demo where you already had the squad. I haven't played 7 since it came out, the original. Haven't played the remake yet. Jake, who is it?
It's Barrett.
Is it Barrett?
Yeah.
All right, good job. And what city is Watch Dogs Legion set in? Now, let me just, before we get into the actual question, was this game any good? Because it's always on sale for like $10.
It kind of released, and I don't remember anyone actually talking about it. So I don't know. I don't know if it's good or not.
I've never played the second one. I really liked the first Watch Dogs. I think the second one is a continuation of the first, but the third one's its own thing. I know it was not Vegas. I don't believe it was Paris. I want to say it was London, but I'm not certain.
It's London.
All right. London it is. Correct. 4 for 4. In God of War 2018, what was the name that Atreus' mother went by? Was it Freya, Faye, Hypatia, or Helen?
Well, it's not Hypatia or Helen, so it's either Faye or Freya.
I think they're both in the game. I think one. I think it's Freya. I think both of those names come up in the game. I'm not certain, but I want to say Freya is correct, but I also think that Faye is right. So, do you have a preference over one or the other?
Nope. I don't know which one it is.
Freya sounds. It's probably wrong, dude. I'm so bad. I'm going to go Faye because my guesses are always wrong. So, I want to pick Freya, but I'm going Faye because I'm always wrong. Yes! Faye is correct. Oh, man. I cheesed the system there. Did a little reverse the curse. All right. 5 for 5. Question 6. Which of these PS3 exclusive games released first? Little Big Planet 2, Killzone 3, Twisted Metal, or Resistance 3? Probably Twisted Metal, right?
I don't know. I feel like Twisted Metal was later. Like, I feel like I remember it.
Little Big Planet 2 then.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
All right, Little Big Planet 2. We're going to go for that. Correct. Oh, buddy. Dude, I don't want to jinx us. 6 of 15 down. Question 7 of 15. Which Spyro game introduced skateboarding? Was it Spyro Year of the Dragon, Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, or Spyro Enter the Dragonfly?
I don't remember ever skateboarding in Spyro, so I have no idea.
First of all, is there a Year of the Dragon and Spyro the Dragon, or is there a red herring there?
I don't think that they would put something like that down.
Why would they have a game called Year of the Dragon and then a game called Spyro the Dragon? That's so silly.
Well, Spyro the Dragon was the first game.
Okay.
That was just what it was called. And then Spyro : Year of the Dragon was like the third or fourth game.
Enter the Dragonfly. I bet you it's Enter the Dragonfly. But something tells me, I don't know. I have no clue. Jake, I'm going to let you take an educated guess on this.
I'm pretty sure it's not the first one. And I don't remember seeing it in the second one, but that doesn't mean that it didn't exist in there.
Ripto's Rage might be right.
So, well, that's Spyro 2.
Oh, so it's not that one.
So I'm going to say it's probably either Enter the Dragonfly or Year of the Dragon.
Let's go Enter the Dragonfly. Because I've got a good... There's no way this is right. Nope. Damn it. It's Year of the Dragon. I should have done... we missed one. I'm sorry. How many units did the PS2 end up selling? 155 million, 200 million, 85 million, or 110 million units?
It's 155.
He's very sure of that answer. I'm just going to click it. Good job. I don't know how you know some of this stuff. In Persona 5, the Confidence system is portrayed through types of crystals, the Chinese zodiac, star signs, or tarot cards. The Confident system is probably star signs. I've never played Persona 5, though.
Confidant.
Oh, sorry. I'm reading
Not
that wrong.
confident.
The Confident. Confidant is what it says, yes.
I was like, you read that. I was like, I don't know what this is.
Sorry, I misread that. Early. We're recording this early.
I think it's tarot cards.
Let's do it. Correct.
This is it's really embarrassing because I've played that game through twice, which means I played like 180 hours of fucking Persona.
Dude, I would do nothing but sabotage because the very first thing I said was, I'm sure it's not tarot cards. And it was.
Yeah.
Man, I apologize. I don't know these.
I want to
these
say
games.
Star Signs was one of the other ones, maybe 4 or something like that. I can't remember.
All right. So we got a guy standing with like some sort of flute in his hand. He looks pretty benevolent. He's got like a jester outfit on almost, in a way, pointed shoes. They want to know who the character is from Dragon Quest XI. Is his name Vince, Silvando, Hendrik, or Eric? I mean, I want to say Silvando. He looks like a Hendrik or a Silvando.
Because I never played it.
You think it's Silvando?
Sure.
Yes. Got one. All right, I'm winning back some faith. What does ARS stand for in Platinum Games' action shooter Vanquish? Is it Active Reload Suit, Attack Reading Suit, Augmented Reaction Suit, or the Action Replay Suit? It's probably Active Reload Suit. Or Attack Reading Suit, I don't know. Well, it's probably honestly the Augmented Reaction Suit.
I was going to say, I think that it's the Augmented Reaction Suit, because that's a very, like...
It sounds right.
It's like something that a Japanese game would come up with as like an acronym.
It's got to be. Now the picture they show you. No, I don't pick up on these things very often, but it's very on the nose. Like the colors they're using in the screen grab are Sony colors. Like there's a little bit of pink in the scope, the blue, the green for the green button on the control triangle is green. Maybe I don't remember. Anyways, augmented reaction suit. It is correct. We've only missed 2 or 1. Question 12 of 15. Which of these PS2 games has the highest average critic score on Metacritic? Silent Hill 2, Devil May Cry, Shadow of the Colossus, or Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty? Which game has the highest average critic score on Metacritic out of those 4?
It's got to either be Metal Gear Solid 2 or Shadow of the Colossus.
It's probably Shadow, dude. No one craps on that game.
Well,
there's not a sequel.
Yeah.
So like for Metal Gear Solid 2, I bet you when 3 or 4 came out, the reviews for 2 either went up or went down. Like there's only one Shadow of the Colossus. That score is going to stay steady. That's my argument.
I guess, but Metal Gear Solid 2 was fucking huge when it came out. So I don't know. Because it was...
Well, let's do Metal Gear then, because I'm usually wrong. You're right. Come on. Unbelievable. This is why my SAT scores were terrible. All right. Which of these is not a real game included in the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy? Oh, yeah. I know this game. Phoenix Wright Justice for All, Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations, Phoenix Wright Case Closed, or Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It's not Ace Attorney. There's no way, because that's the name of the trilogy. Well, it's probably Justice for All.
I have no idea. I've never played a single one of these games.
Well, neither have I. I was just kidding. Sure. It's actually Trials and Tribulations is probably not right. Justice for All is a very Judge thing. Ace Attorney is the title of the trilogy, and Case Closed. Well, Case Closed is more like what a cop would say, right? You don't close a case in court.
Yeah, you do.
You adjourn them.
What?
You smack the gavel down.
I think you're splitting hairs.
I'm going Case Closed.
Okay.
Got it. Boom.
Is it really?
Yep.
That's funny.
All right. What year does Deus Ex Human Revolution take place? 2077, 2040, 2027, or 2101? I want to say it's 2040. But I don't know. It's definitely not 2077. That's a red herring. That's Cyberpunk.
That's all you. I played this game for like... I guess I played it for 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours. I don't know. I fell off on it, though.
Yeah, I beat it. I'm going to go 2040. Nope, 2027. That doesn't seem right, though, because, like, we're pretty close to that, and we're nowhere near what this game was. I hate it when sci-fi does that. If you're going to pick something in the future, just make it hundreds of years out. because
I think that's like the cyberpunk thing though. Like, cause this game, even though it's not like big C cyberpunk,
yeah,
it is still like cyberpunk in style. So in theme, I guess. So like part of that is just that, you know, that whole philosophy was invented in like the 70s and 80s. So people thought we would be a lot farther along than we are by now.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, this next one is the last one. This is question 15 of 15. I hope the listeners are enjoying these quizzes. I love doing them. So it's a picture of all these different PlayStation Home characters, and it says, which of these statements about PlayStation Home is true? PlayStation Home had no loading screens. PlayStation Home never left its beta phase. PlayStation Home could be played using a mobile device. Or PlayStation Home users could trade PS3 games with each other. There's no way it's that, right? They couldn't let you play.
I don't think so.
I mean, that's the answer, right? You think? That's not true.
No, it's asking which statement is true.
Oh, I thought I was saying which one wasn't true. All right, so yeah, so we agree on that. That is not correct. I don't believe you could use a mobile device to play it. I think it never left its beta phase.
That is probably right, because I have a hard time believing that a PS3 game like that didn't have any loading screens.
All right.
So, go for it.
Correct. Dude, we only missed 2 questions. That was fantastic. Good job on the quiz today, Jake. I think we did a good job. You carried a lot of the weight there, but I did get us some nice little unexpected correct answers. So how about we jump right into the news this week for PlayStation, and we are recording this on October the 16th, I believe. Yeah. So first thing that was interesting, games leak, hardware leaks, release dates leak, announcement dates leak, but this is the first time I've ever read a leak about a manual leaking. So the PSVR 2 manuals are being printed in advance because they would have to go along with the box and get sent out for the launch of the hardware. The details of the PSVR 2 manual is leaking online. And this is such a strange one. Apparently, though, the big takeaway here is that the dev kit for the VR2 headset is 70 grams heavier than the VR2 that they're actually putting in the box and selling to us. And that shakes out to be 0.15 or 15% of a single pound in weight. So it's causing a big stir that the headset is noticeably lighter. I don't know if 15% of a pound or 0.15 pounds is something I would notice, but I guess if it's on your head. And first off, how do they know that it's even going to be noticeable if no one has the unit in hand, right? Maybe they're just saying that seems like it's a lot of weight to shed. I don't know. Like, is it? That's weird.
It depends on how it's balanced on you. Because if it's in like a weird spot where it's got some kind of like leverage on the way that your head balances, then it could very well make a difference. But you would only know if you had both of them on
at the same time.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, not at the same time, but if you tried one then the other, like which we're
Well,
never gonna see. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
It sounds like some sort of archaic like experiment before people had scales. Like, how do we figure out? You put one on each person, ask them what one feels heavier, have them describe how it feels, right? Like some sort of weird thing. I think it's a moot point. I don't think it really matters. I guess it matters if they're pulling components out or if they're doing something. I don't know. I mean, that's not so heavy that like, are they just using a different part? Are they using different plastic? What are they doing? It's weird. Are they moving a knob? I don't know. It's strange. Could it just be a misprint?
Could be that it could also be that there was a bit of a some kind of a widget in there for the debug
Yeah.
that isn't needed for the regular unit.
Right. And it could be a manual misprint.
How do you know?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's a weird thing to pick up on, but it's in the news, and I thought it was a really strange one. Let's get to the next news point. I don't really have anything else to say about that except, that's a thing that's happening right now. For anyone who's excited about Gotham Knights, this is making its way around the internet as far as news, and people aren't happy about this. And the situation goes, we know that they're not releasing it on PS4. So the PS5 version, though, has been announced is only going to run at 30 frames per second. And the explanation that was given is that because there's a seamless, untethered co-op in such a detailed open world, it isn't as easy as just throttling resolution to give you an option to bring up the frame rate. Now, Jake, I don't know much about this aspect of developing, but does it bother anybody? Yeah, it does, because I was reading today that people were like, canceled my pre-order. It's not acceptable. And then I guess the follow-up question is 60 frames per second at this point in gaming history, because we are making history right now, is this the new standard? And if it is, what does it say about the way that this game now is going to sell? And the importance of having a game be able to run at 60 frames per second, or at least give a fidelity versus, whatever mode, graphic mode. Like, what does that say? Should every game come with this? Is this a big deal? Some people said that the fact that it had to release on Xbox is the reason it's actually running at 30 frames per second, because their system couldn't handle it at 60. I don't know what the truth is, but I mean, it brings a bigger question, I think.
Is it running at 30 always?
Yes.
Or only when you're multiplayer?
No, I think it's from what I understand, they said there was no way to get it to run at 60.
See, to me that it sounds super, like, I don't know if entitled is the right word to say that, like, it's kind of unacceptable at this point. But I can tell you, I would say that if that's how they want to release it, then by all means, fucking release it that way.
Sure.
But I can tell you that at this point in my particular gaming taste would preclude me from wanting to play a game that was only running at 30 frames per second. I would not want to play this game if it was only running at 30 frames. You could probably get used to it after an hour or so, and then you really probably wouldn't notice it at all, I'm guessing. But the thing is that 60 frames just feels so much better that when you go from a game, if you're playing two games at once and this game is one of them and the other game plays at 60 frames a second, it's going to feel like it's slogging every time you go back to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the only way that I could play a game at 30 frames anymore would be if I dedicated all of my time to playing that and I played nothing else, so I had no, like, black and white A/B comparison. So this is a real bummer, because I think that I don't think it's gonna make like this enormous impact on the way that the game sells or anything like that. I don't think that most people really give a shit, but I think in the hardcore community, it's gonna be, people aren't gonna like it, I don't think.
I think they're subjecting themselves now to getting review bombed, which sucks. And I think that something like this, I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute, and I don't even know that that's a great way of even posing it, because what I'm about to say is true. Every Naughty Dog game, when it's released, has ran at 30 frames per second, because they've always maximized the potential of the system to make their games, like, graphically amazing. And usually you don't ever see them striking any kind of bargain, or, they usually don't seem to back down on that. And I think they could have made their games run at 60. Even The Last of Us Part 2, obviously it came out on PS4. But that game, ran at 30. And I think the only way they were able to get it to run at 60 was to play it on the PS5. And I'm not even sure that it does. I know the first Last of Us does, Part 1 might. But here's the question. Studios like, when Horizon Forbidden West came out, I played it at 30 frames per second, and then I switched it, and then I never went back, right? I switched it, and I did go back, sorry, and then I eventually switched it to the better, because I couldn't tell that much of a difference in the graphic fidelity, and I'd rather have a smoother game than have a game look amazing, and it still looked amazing. But I wonder with a company like Naughty Dog, if they're going to make these concessions, or if they're just going to be like, you want to play our game the way we want it, we're going to put it out 30 frames per second because this is the best version of the game, in our opinion, that you can have. So it makes me wonder with big tier studios, you know, like, so if 60 is the new benchmark that they should be hitting, does that limit what a company like Naughty Dog can do with their game release if they feel they need to hit that?
I think there's a difference, though, between a game like Gotham Knights and a game like The Last of Us. The Last of Us is already such a cinematic experience that having the game run at 30 frames, this is going to sound super pretentious, but like it almost benefits a game like that because you don't want the frame rate to be too high whenever you're watching a movie, for example.
It starts to look fake.
If it looks weird, you get that soap opera effect. Like it doesn't look right when so The Last of Us is so similar to like a movie that I can understand, because I think I was reading or watching an interview with Todd Howard when he was talking about frame rate in video games. And he said that whenever he plays video games that are super cinematic and super narrative heavy, he prefers to play them in the higher fidelity, lower frame rate modes because of the way that it just comes across.
Yeah.
So I can understand that for sure. I just don't know that I would. It's just one of those things where, like, yeah, it looks better in the cutscenes and all that stuff, but when it comes down to the fucking combat and shit like that, I want it to be as responsive as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like I said, ultimately, I don't think this is going to be a huge deal for Gotham Knights. I think the game is hopefully still going to sell really well for them because I think it's a really cool idea. So I want it to be successful. But I don't know. It's weird because there's also like different flavors of 30 frames per second. So it could be that it's 30 frames a second and it feels okay, because some games, because of the way they play, they control kind of heavy and everything like that. It's not really that big of a deal. But other games that are really fast paced and stuff, you really don't want them to be that slow. So right. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see when it comes out if it really even makes a difference.
Yeah. But I do think that, the entitlement thing that you said, like, I don't know if you're talking about gamers in general or just maybe your opinion, but I think that we as gamers are so spoiled. We're just so spoiled. Like, I mean, growing up through the whole thing, starting with Atari, like, dude, like what we have now, I don't know. If you want to throw a fit about 30 versus 60, go for it. I mean, but I think ultimately what it boils down to is does it ruin the game? Does it serve the game? Does it hurt the game? Does it make the game better maybe in some situations? I think that's all that matters. And if you don't feel the absence of the 60 frame per second as you're playing the game, then no harm, no foul, right? If you don't feel it, you don't. But like you said, if you're jumping between a 60 frames per second game and then jumping into Gotham Knights at 30, then it's just going to inherently feel sluggish probably. And that's just that's the trick of it, right? It's almost like that thing where you take your arms and you stand in a doorway and you push against the doorway, and then you walk out of the doorway and your arms just want to go like this, right? It's just, I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's a thing. If you get in a doorway and you push your arms out.
I know what you're talking about. I don't understand how it applies.
Well, the connection is that your arms aren't really. They don't need to do that, right? But they feel the need to because they're like, oh, I'm still pushing her. It's like this perceived thing about motion, right? I guess is where I'm tying that in. There's this weird perceived thing, and like, if you don't stand in the doorway, then your arms don't rise and your arms are normal, right? But we're standing in the doorway with these 60 frame per second games, and we expect this to be happening all the time. And it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not one of your better analogies or metaphors.
I'm very bad at analogies and metaphors. Believe it or not, I'm not very good at them, despite being a songwriter. But I'm just thinking, like, it's just this perceived thing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, no, I get it. I would say that, like, if the world were to change tomorrow and every single game that was released was doing 30 frames again, I don't think that, like, after the first few months, I don't think it would be a news item anymore. Like, people would just be used to it again. But the problem is that there is such a huge leap in feel between 30 and 60 frames that now that most of the games that come out are 60 frames,
right,
when one jumps back, it just feels so much worse.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, kind of talking around in circles about it at this point. But I think
I've got a better analogy. Go ahead.
I think that it'll be fine, but we'll have to wait until the game comes out and see how people really. I'm not really concerned about the review bombing thing so much as what the critics actually have to say about it.
It could definitely.
If they say that
sales.
the 30 frames, if they say that the 30 frames really affects the way that the game plays, then okay, then I guess maybe it's a problem. But if they're like, it's an issue, but it's not that big of a deal, then that's cool. Because you know what it's going to be. Is it just going to come out and it's like the user score is going to be like a fucking 0.2.
Right.
Because people are going to basically just give it a user rating of a 0 because they're dicks. So even though the game might actually be good, other than the fact that it's 30 frames.
Right. Just a follow-up analogy, it's like having nutmeg in your pancake batter versus not having nutmeg in your pancake batter. Once you've had it, you can't go back.
Assuming people like nutmeg.
Or aren't
Everybody
wildly
likes
allergic to it.
frames.
You know, nutmeg is actually a poison. Did you know that? Taken in high quantities, you can kill yourself. Don't do it, listeners.
Then why don't we fucking put it in everything then?
All right, we got to move forward, man. We got to keep this rolling. That is a cool fact about nutmeg, though, I learned recently, because I really like it. I was trying to figure out what it is. Dead Space, the remake, is well on its way. But the interesting news that now is coming out, it's going to be revised in certain ways. And now I've never played the original, and this isn't a spoiler, but there were some spoilers in this a little bit. I'm not going to talk about that, but the article I read tells you maybe how you come onto your weapon and stuff. But according to Push Square, instead of individual localized spaces, I think it's pronounced the Ishimura, is going to be an entirely connected place, allowing you to return back to places you've been before. And to do so, you have to have the correct security clearances. I guess you couldn't do that in the original game. So they've created additional spaces so the whole thing is actually a ship instead of places that you play and then it just feels like a ship. It actually is one digitally. And apparently in the 0G areas, instead of flying on rails and jumping from point to point, you actually can have free movement and fly wherever you choose, apparently, on those sections. And they said that it's going to make combat pretty interesting and wild as you're flying through the air. But I guess that'll be fine if the controls aren't janky. So 2 little updates on the Dead Space. Dead Make, that's a great name for anything. Don't take it, listeners. I'm going to copyright it. Dead Space Remake is, interesting. I didn't realize they were going to actually create some new content, apparently, in it. Little things like this. That's
cool. These are the types of changes with remakes that I think are really neat. I don't think that it's probably not going to be as the zero gravity thing is going to affect the way that the game plays a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised because the way that the game works generally is that whenever you move along, when we go from one place to another, you get on like this tram and then it goes to the next area.
Yeah.
Right? But what does it really mean if like they just allow you to be able to walk through a hallway to get to that area? Now everything's connected. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's going to be that simple, but and maybe they are going to add a lot of area to walk around in the game or whatever. And maybe they're going to get rid of the trams altogether. I have no idea. But it is cool, but I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make.
It just sounds like quality of life improvements, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, but I mean, there have been tons of gameplay, like preview footage and stuff online recently for this game, and it looks really good. It comes out, I think, in January, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
To see that it's in decent shape, and it's going to be coming out soon. So I'm excited for people to play it.
Did I really think Dead Make would be something awesome? Like Dead Make. It should be something awesome. Like, what would that be? It'd be so good. Maybe like I don't know, like some sort of
like a fucking movie or something.
Horror.
I don't know.
Some kind of horror thing, like I don't know, make zombies or something. I don't know. I don't know. Something. There's something to it. Anyways, let's move on. The next news point, and I didn't even know this thing existed. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you haven't. It's called The First Descendent. It's being developed by Nexus. What it is a free-to-play title. And if you haven't checked this out, it looks really awesome graphically. It's using Unreal Engine 5. And it's kind of a sci-fi Destiny third-person-esque game. Some of the battle, it's a co-op game. Some of the enemies they show, or screenshots of the enemies they show, are just freaking enormous, Shadow of the Colossus big. And the graphics are just absolutely superb. There's a new story trailer for the game you can view now. And like I mentioned before, it's a co-op game, and it's going to release on PS4 and PS5. I don't know what the anticipated release date is on it, but a free-to-play like this, something new to jump into, if it's fun and the gameplay's good, might be worth our time to keep our eyes on. It's called The First Descendant. Have you heard anything about this game?
I have not. It looks like it's... I'm just looking at the Steam page for it now. It hasn't come out on Steam yet either, so I don't know when... They just have planned release date. It just says coming soon, so I don't really know. Oh yeah, I have seen some stuff about this. I think we talked about this before.
I don't know. It looks awesome.
I think there was a trailer for it in like some recent a showcase or something. It looks fucking dope. Just like conceptually, it looks dope. I don't know if it's gonna be. Yeah, we definitely saw something about this recently.
You sure?
Yeah, and one of the more recent state of plays or something.
I know there was Arc Raiders, and that looked awesome. I don't remember First Descendant.
Yeah, I feel like I recall a lot of what I'm seeing here. It looks almost like a mix between like Outriders and maybe like a mix between Outriders and what was that stupid game that Anthem. Like Outriders and Anthem, but it's like really, it looks like it's pretty fast paced. I don't know. It could be really interesting.
It looks awesome to me. Yeah, I'm all in third person games. I love them. I love third person games. I don't know. I used to love first person games, and I've just slowly moved to third person. Something about it I like. All right. Anyways, Jake, the next news point is I'm going to harken back to Plague Tale Requiem. There is a video link I put in our YouTube notes here, but Lindsay Sterling, very famous musician, violinist. I'm sure she didn't lend her talent to the latest trailer for Plague Tale Requiem. I'm sure they purchased her talent, but I think it's a song that either she wrote or she's covering the Plague Tale song herself. But there's a video that's all looks like it's in game, and it's a digital rendering of her playing this Plague Tale song in the woods. And she's like thrashing around like voraciously on her violin, like get really into it, you know, all this stuff. And then bam, cut into parts of the game, Plague Tale Requiem, and it looks so cool and so awesome. And man, the trailer on her website, her name's Lindsay Sterling, on her YouTube site, already has 117,000 views. So the cross promotion apparently is working. She's done a lot of covers for video game music on her violin, and now she's featured in-game for this trailer playing the violin for the Plague Tale song. This game is doing promotion 100% correctly. They didn't talk about it a million years before it came out. They started trickling out a little thing here and there within a year of release. And now we're here, and they're just pummeling us with cool new content. It's not like, oh, here's some gameplay. Oh, here's some different gameplay. Oh, here's some different gameplay. Here's a different gameplay trailer. Oh, here's a story trailer. Here's some different gameplay trailer. It's like they're finding innovative ways to promote this game. And I love that. They're doing it right. It makes me...
I think it's actually her. I don't think that's a rendering.
Are you sure?
I think she just I think she just dressed up and went in the woods and fucking did this.
Well, good for her. It looks awesome. Let me go back to it.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looked like a rendering with the lighting and stuff.
No, I don't think so.
Let me look.
I think it's just creative lighting to make it kind of like mix with the scenes.
That
from
says
the game.
two things: how terrible my eyesight's.
Oh, it's loading. We're gonna get in trouble. I don't know where it's at. Hold on a second. Oh no, we're gonna get in trouble. I can't find it. It seriously is playing right in the window. You have to bear with me. I'm gonna control this thing. How's it playing? Is it on your computer?
I stopped it. Apologies. Man, that was coming through. We're just going to leave it. If we get copyright stricken, so be it. I don't know. What are we supposed to do with that? It was playing through. I'll try to edit it out maybe. I clicked on the link, and I have my Google Drive set up. I went into a panic, and the listeners will hear it. It went down. I have my Google Notes at the bottom of my screen, and they actually go beyond what I can see. And it was down in the corner. How like sometimes you open those tiny windows and they play because they're trying not to be like interruptive. I'm looking at all my tabs and it's not open anywhere, and I just hear the violin going. And you're talking, and I'm like, oh shit, what happened? Where'd it go? So, anyways, yeah, I wanted to see. Yeah, I'm going to take your word for it that it is her. But it says two things. Number one, how good video game graphics are getting. And number two, how bad my eyesight's getting. So now the line has been blurred. Anyways, Jake, are you going to get this game or no? Are you going to wait for reviews? Plague Tale?
We'll just have to see how I feel when it comes out. I mean, I'll probably wait and see what people think about it. But... I think that this game is going to be day and date on Game Pass, so there's no real barrier to entry for me to play it. So I might pick it up and try it out. I probably won't until after I'm done with Deathloop, but that might be the next thing I try.
Yeah, dude.
Because I did like the first one.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I can't wait to play it. In other music meets gaming news, this is a really cool one, and I've already talked to Troy, and we're going to make a submission for this if we can get it together. Just he and I. So CD Projekt Red are accepting music submissions from the community for music for a new radio station that's going to be created called Growl FM. They're accepting 12 to 15 user-submitted tracks, and it can be any style of music, and the songs have to be between 2 and 3 minutes apiece, and it has to be completely original. So Troy and I are going to write this really metal-sounding, rad song and submit it to CD Projekt Red and see if they'll take our song. If we can win, you win $3,000, which is cool, but you also get your song in a video game. So we are going to do this. And I talked to Troy, and he's all in. So he and I are gonna try to write some kind of metal-ish, heavy song, and maybe I'll get some growl on it too. I'll sing a little bit. But he said it has to be completely original, so we're gonna do it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like that they open this up. Now, there's probably all kinds of bands and dudes that are talented that are going to submit for this thing. But I'm not comparing what Troy and I can do to Refused, the band that was featured in Cyberpunk. But when Signal Home had a record released, we had a little sticker on the front. You know, they put stickers on the front. It said for fans of Refused on there. So I'm just saying... I wouldn't say that's an accurate comparison, but I think we have a chance at maybe getting a song accepted. So that's kind of fun news. I didn't realize they were doing that, and I saw that in the news points, and I got real excited last night. I was like, dude, we got to do this. He's all in. So with his ability to mix and master and get everything done right, and then between the two of us writing and being powerhouses for that style of music, I think we'll be good. I think we'll have a shot at least. And if not, we'll just put the song on the podcast and you guys can listen to it when it's done, which will be awesome. All right. So next news point. All right. Anybody unaware, there's a PlayStation studio that's called PS Studios Malaysia. They've lent their expertise in recent releases such as The Last of Us Part 1 and MLB The Show 22. They mainly have been focusing on asset designs. However, their team is growing and they have 77 employees now. They're apparently biting off larger projects to assist with Sony titles, and they admitted their current animation team has been working on some titles that they can't speak about at the moment. And their place in the business at this time seems to be very similar to Visual Arts team in San Diego. And Visual Arts are always concurrently working on up to maybe 25 titles at a time. So you always hear about these unsung studios that help other studios out, you know, and it's nice that Sony has cultivated a team in PlayStation Studios Malaysia, and they're using their, I guess, extremely talented animation department working on some games. I would not be surprised if we get a Kena 2 or something that's a Sony exclusive. I bet you that will happen. Anyways.
I mean, the first one was a Sony exclusive, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was. But I bet you we get a Kena Bridge of Spirits 2.
Maybe.
I don't think that this studio is working on that, but I'm just thinking about like smaller games that maybe this Malaysian studio could help out with. I don't know. But
Sony doesn't own Kena.
No, they don't. But that's what I'm saying, that they're going to get it, though. I'm saying that they're going to acquire it, make an exclusive, buy the studio out, and we're going to... Because it's such a small studio, they would not cost much.
I don't know, man. They were making movies before they made games, so they may be worth more than you think.
You think so?
I have no idea.
Do you remember what they were called? I was going to look it up. I can't remember what that studio's called. They were really small, though. They only had like 15 people or something. That's why that game was so incredible. Like, they were like a legit indie small studio. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, so anyways, who knows what PlayStation, PS Studios, Malaysia are working on, but they have announced that they are currently working on some stuff, and their staff appears to continuously grow larger and larger. And this next point of news doesn't affect me in any way whatsoever, and it's not a surprise, but there is a God of War Ragnarok bundle, PS5 coming 11/9/22. Jake, do you have anything to say about this?
Nope. I mean, good for the people that, you know, my understanding is that the bundle in PS5s for Horizon are the ones that are the most available right now. So it could be that by making one of these God of War bundles that it's going to provide the ability for more people to get PS5s. So cool.
Yeah, that's good. And like I got an invite, I got an official invite to get from PlayStation Direct to get myself a PS5 console, finally. But I didn't pull the trigger, and I think that you're going to be able to just get on there and buy them. I mean, they're pretty available right now, even, I think. So, and there's rumors that 2023 they're going to just be stocking stores with PS5. So I guess the amount that they're making is just ridiculous. Of course they want to make them so they can sell them. So, next news point. Jake, you've been watching, or maybe you finished at this point, Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Yeah.
And apparently there's going to be a novel that's going to tie Edge Runners into the game. The novel is going to be titled No Coincidence, and the story is going to be about four strangers, apparently, who seemingly end up working together, or their paths cross in Night City, and maybe on a big job or something. Who knows? There's not a whole lot of details about the premise of the novel, but we see this more and more. There was an Uncharted novel. It wasn't a tie-in, but it had all the characters. There was, I'm painting characters for that Cursed City board game, and they just, Warhammer does this all the time, but they released a novel, more backstory for the setting and stuff. We had Tomb Raider comics. We had Last of Us comics. We had a Division book. This isn't the first time, but if you're a reader and you like the Cyberpunk stuff, there you go. Be a nice little Christmas gift. I don't know when it's going to release, but maybe before then, maybe not. I don't know. That's kind of cool. Jake, you did finish Edgerunners, right?
Yeah, it was real good. Although I'm gonna be honest, the end is pretty fucking depressing. So
yeah,
if you guys are interested in it, just prepare yourself for that. But it is really good. I'm curious to see if they'll make another season of it.
Yeah. All right. So the most obvious thing happened. We knew that Gizmo from Gremlins was added to the lineup for MULTIVERSUS, which is a game we tried out, or at least I tried out, and his rival Stripe is being added, and I'm so glad this happened. What I wanted though was Gizmo to turn into a gremlin in the game, but they didn't do that as far as I know. So Stripe's getting added to MULTIVERSUS. So if you're a fan of Gremlins, this game, I don't know how it's doing right now. I know when it released, it did really well. So more power to them. At least they got some properties that people are interested in. This is the right demographic to introduce something like that into a game. I mean, all of those things, like with Doug, and I don't know if Doug was in it actually, but the different things like the Batman, and there are all kinds of cool characters. Man, who else was in there? Powder Toast Man maybe was in there, I believe. The Ren and Stimpy characters.
You're thinking of the Nickelodeon game.
No, maybe I do have them mixed up.
Yeah.
Am I mixed up?
Because I fucking played that one, and Powder
I
Toast
played them
Man
both.
was in there.
Hold on. Which one was MULTIVERSUS?
That's the one with like Scooby or Shaggy
yeah.
and
Batman, yeah.
Arya Stark
yep.
and Batman and all that.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. We had Velma from Scooby-Doo, Tasmanian Devil. Yep, Superman, all those things. You're right. Yeah, the other one wasn't good, but Stripe and Gizmo are in MULTIVERSUS now, so that's cool. And this is a Warner Brothers property, so obviously, yeah. All right, Jake. It's a good thing you're on the show because this would be a shit show, literally and figuratively today, because I'm just so worn out still. I probably am one of those people that have COVID and don't know it. Just my brain, maybe I got brain fog or something. I don't know. Hey, let's move on to the next one. Let me see here. We're almost through the notes here. And there was a PlayStation firmware update. You may have already received it, but maybe you haven't. They made some upgrades to trophies and the activity cards. And I did notice when I powered up Darkest Dungeon and I pressed the home button that it pulled up a lot of trophies for that game in a way that seemed better than I've ever seen it done before, but I guess I didn't tie it together with this being part of the firmware update, but I guess it was. So it was really convenient actually. So I like these small quality of life improvements to the firmware. Sony's always done this for all of their consoles. They've always put this information, loaded the firmware up, and made things. I think they get a lot of user feedback, and I'm sure they have a whole team dedicated to just combing freaking forums and stuff to try to figure out what people want with the firmware. They do those surveys all the time. What are you using? What aren't you using? They're tracking the features. So they at least pay attention. They don't set it and forget it. They always update this stuff. So that's nice. Anything on that, Jake? Have you noticed a boon to your activity cards or trophies in your system when you access that stuff?
No, to be honest with you, at this point, I just totally fucking blank out all of those activity cards. I couldn't tell you what a single one of them says whenever I boot on my PlayStation. I literally turn on my PlayStation, go right to the game, and I don't look at a single one of them.
Interesting.
So it's entirely possible that they're different or saying stuff that I care about or whatever, but most of the time I just completely ignore them.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, mine always seem to just pop up, and I just kind of look, especially for now that we have this PlayStation loyalty program. I think you get points for earning trophies and stuff. So if you tie it to your account, so any easy ones I'm going to try to pull off now. And the trophy list just pops right up. It was interesting. At least it did for me in Darkest Dungeon, like I said. The last news point for the show, and then we'll let you guys get on with the rest of your week, is Mark Cerny has been working hand in hand with Haven Studios, and apparently they're trying to propel the ways in which games can be developed. So think of it like a Google Doc where you see real-time edits as people do it. So they're trying to create a system where games can be developed in real time in the cloud, which seems so forward. Like, well, actually, it seems like to a non-developer, it probably just seems like, well, yeah, why isn't that how it's done? There's a lot more to it than that. But if they succeed and they find a way to pull this off in a cohesive way, in a way that is serves developing, could have some major positive ramifications for developers, but it may also come with its own set of traps or trappings. I don't know. I mean, it's like, do you want everyone working on something at the same time at once in the cloud to develop a game? I guess if you're very clear about what you need them to be working on, I guess I can see that works. But how does that work with? I mean, I would imagine debugging would be like a mess. If everyone can have their hand in the pot at the same time making a game.
Well, I'm sure they're not like there's probably a situation where people aren't actively working on a build that's being debugged. It's probably like simply that everyone has access to everyone else's information at all times. So like it's almost more like a Dropbox thing than anything else, where or maybe even something like a Google Doc, like you're saying, where somebody is editing the code on a particular build and somebody else can see that person editing and jump in and make changes while they're communicating in real time or something like that. Like I don't know that it's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be like admin rights and stuff where people are going to have the ability to basically lock out sections of the project so that they can do a test build or something like that. So
yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know. I mean, this is one of those things that's like almost impossible for a layman to comprehend the value of.
Yeah.
So I think that its value to the news cycle is only that this type of technology, along with AI and some other things, may allow these big games that you love to be developed faster. That's the only point of the news that is something that people care about.
Yeah, well,
everything else
definitely,
is just like
those
minutia.
are the positive ramifications for sure. But I just wonder, like, I mean, if it were easy to do, everyone would be doing this, right? If this were
so my concern about them doing this cohesive thing is that it's gonna allow more people to essentially work remote, which is fine. But we've already realized or found out since 2020, when people started doing more remote work, that leaks are a huge fucking problem now, because people are just working on all this shit at their house.
Yeah.
Or in the subway or in the park or wherever the fuck they're working on it. And so
the park, on the tram,
shit is just like leaking everywhere. So I don't know if this has any sort of built-in kind of containment for things like leaks. I don't even know how you really could, because if somebody's working on it at home, nothing's going to prevent them from taking a picture of what they're working on with their phone and emailing it to somebody to release it or something like that. So I don't know. And I hate leaks a lot. So I don't mind, whenever a project is being leaked, like, oh, this company is working on game X.
Or a manual.
That's not right. That's not an offensive leak. What I'm mostly concerned about is these people that are just straight up dumping, all the cinematics and story and gameplay and code of a game on the internet and potentially destroying a project, which is that's more of like a malicious kind of leak. So, but anyway, the news point isn't really about leaks. I was just thinking that could be the one negative about this type of technology, is that if it is including some kind of protection against sort of, I don't know, leaking or espionage or anything like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It is curious why no one else is trying to make this happen. I mean, it must be, and if it's going to take someone like Mark Cerny to get involved to make it happen, is also, that guy's
It could very well be that people are trying it. They're
brainiac.
just, not doing it, or they're using third-party utilities or something. You know, most someone that's not as big as a third party, or sorry, as a first party, is probably not going to want to put the time and resources and engineering into developing just a platform to use to do work when they could just buy one from a third party. Excuse me. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know that really makes a difference.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I had the new games coming out this it's the wrong list. There's not a new list set up. Actually, there is. They just posted it, so they must post it on Sunday. They posted this at 9:00. I'll just read through it real quick. I have it here. New games for this week. This is per Push Square, because this is the one I wanted to talk about the most. So new games. Geez, sorry, my pen just broke on me. We're going to start with October 18th, A Plague Tale Requiem on PS5. Notice there's not a PS4 version. Ghostbusters, Spirits Unleashed, PS5, PS4. Life in Willowdale, Farm Adventures, PS5, PS4. Them's Fightin' Herds, PS5 and PS4. October 20th, Batora, Lost Haven, PS5, PS4. Gas Station Simulator on PS4. Norco on PS5, PS4. And Tempest on PS5, PS4. And October 21st. Gotham Knights on PS5. Notice there's no PS4 like we mentioned earlier. Jojo Siwa Worldwide Party, who was also on Dancing with the Stars. That's how I know that name. On PS4. New Tales from Borderlands on PS5, PS4. I believe this is the thing. Who's the company that made the Walking Dead story games? Telltale, yeah. So new Tales from Borderlands, PS5, PS4. I don't know if this is a Telltale game, but it is like the Tales from Borderlands game. So that's coming out 21st. That's interesting. And then Persona 5 Royal on PS5. So pretty big release week, actually. I think the two big ones, the biggest ones, are the Gotham Knights and Plague Tale Requiem, and then I think the Tales from Borderlands and Persona. Well, Persona 5 Royal is how many Persona 5? Like, I don't understand Persona because I don't play the games. Persona 5 is out, right? So they're just talking the PS5 version of it. I'm guessing that's what this is.
Well, Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal is just Persona 5 with like a bunch of extra content.
Okay. See, sometimes,
so like
if you don't play the game,
hours.
you don't know. All right. Because I could see that being like a sequel to Persona 5. Like, if you didn't know better. Like, they have Final Fantasy 7 Intergrade and Final Fantasy 7, right? Remake. So, like, those are essentially the same game. Intergrade has a couple extra things to it. But this is going to be on PS5. So those are the big ones, I suppose, I would think. So it's going to be a good release week, I think. There's not a bunch of garbage or trophyware shit in there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So good deal. So that's about all I have for the show today. Jake, it's been a pleasure talking video games with you this morning. And again, we appreciate the listeners. Make sure you write us if you have any feedback, anything you want to comment. We will get to it. And don't forget, we got a Patreon. I don't want to sound like I'm pandering to everybody and begging, but we do like to see those numbers grow a little bit. So thank you for everyone who's participating in the Patreon. And we will be back next week. And then I believe the week after that will be our Halloween show. So we're going to talk about Jake and I's our top 5 scary games. And if you want to send in your top 5 scary games, we'll see if any of them match our lists. And we'll bring that up when we talk about our own lists. And then we'll have that review from Sean in a couple weeks. So until then, get Hot Wheels Unleashed downloaded, start playing that. And that's about all I've got. Jake, are you good?
I think I'm good.
Do we have any games that begin with the letter Z? Do you know any games that begin with the letter Z? Because we're on Z on our closing, and I did not have time to do this. I know Xenophobe was an awesome game for the arcade.
Starts with an X.
What's that?
Starts with an X.
Damn it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Man, I'm really coming off like a dunce today. My true colors.
Zen Pinball.
Zen Pinball was great. Yeah. We'll just slowly go through it. So, like, Zen Pinball. We can't say Zelda. I'd want to say Zelda, but we can't. Zen Pinball. Give me a game with Z.
Games with beginning with Z.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
There's
like 3?
I'll read them to you. I'll read them to you. There's like a shitload of them.
All right, go ahead and just do
Okay.
the closing.
Okay, so like Zen Pinball, Zero Escape, and Zombie.
P.S.
P.S.
This is awesome.
Awesome.